want to go to a nursing home, so it was up to me and the people that I could get there to give her the care she needed, 24-hour care. And some of it got, for the people out there who have done caregiving for a loved one, I know a friend of mine is doing two, both their parents, and it's really, really hard, and you have to be totally dedicated. Well, this situation got a little bit too much to me.
Okay.
And I turned on YouTube and listened. One day I was on my knees. I just fell down from exhaustion, emotional drain, despair, no hope, and did I have the strength to continue on to give her the care? And I heard this song. The first worship song that really got me was "I Surrender All."
Okay, great song.
And it sort of chokes me up because that song hit exactly the way I was feeling. It was like meant for me at that moment.
Gotcha.
It was like a bell going off in my head. And I went in my studio and I wanted to learn it. So I learned the track and I was playing it with a mic in my little studio, which is on the other side of my mom's room. And every time I kept going in to give her food, she was like, "What is that song? I love it. Keep playing it."
Wow.
So all the nurses and stuff that came over, I brought them in. I said, "Listen to this song. What do you think?"
Wow.
I'm looking through the ads in Craigslist and Penny Saver, and I keep seeing bass player wanted. It was a very interesting ad. It said, "Bass player wanted, no pay." And I kept looking
No
at
pay.
that. No pay. And and it said
That's a
Mount Carmel.
desirable position.
Okay, but you know what? On Sundays, I was saying if I could get out and the nurses could take some of my time and I could go over to the church. So I went over, and at that time, Tony Genesi was our worship leader.
Okay.
And Jimmy and Debbie DeGata, Jimmy Babu, who our worship team too. From the first day I was in there, I walked in the church and saw the organ. They let me play it. Pastor Keith was there at that time, and I worked in as a bass player. And I had a lot of things to learn because I was coming from a secular world.
You were coming from rock and roll.
Where it was, going
Heavy
back,
duty.
it was a little wild there. And I had to be, it took 6 months
Wow.
before they allowed me to sing a song.
Okay.
Because I had to learn to be humble. I walked in there thinking, wow, I can
You're
do
the
this.
musician,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and it's like I was taught what humility was. And the first thing I actually got to sing was like a second verse in Amazing Grace. Wow. But it paid off, that patience and the learning process, because when you finally get it, like you say, always wait on God. He has his time. Well, that's the way it was for me, So I said, there's something here. And as I kept coming back Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, I got more and more into feeling the Spirit until I was actually saved right there in the church on an Easter Sunday.
Wow. You said something I think is very important for those who are watching. All of us, I believe, in our lives have our day of reckoning. I mean, what I mean by that is our encounter with God. And for a lot of us, we got to go through some hard times to get us to that place. Why? Because it's just our will, our human nature, our stubbornness, our pride. A lot of things block us from God. But I know in my case, now you're telling us your case, when life gets overwhelming, when you don't know what to do, when you don't know where to turn, there's only one place, and that's to God. And as music is your primary way of communication, it's the gifting that God has given you. Isn't it interesting? I kind of feel like when you fell on your knees and you heard that song, that was your baptism of fire too. That was God saying, now I'm going to use the talent, the ability that I've given you all these years for me. And that was the beginning of that, because that's when you started seeking God. You went to the Craigslist, you saw the ad and no pay, and you're like, okay. It's just a great story to show how God touched you when you were at your lowest point. And a song, music, words. This is why music's so powerful. And I'm going to give a plug for our church. You hear me on these things and I preach and teach, but we got some pretty good music. And again, it's authentic. It's a bunch of different genres. We play hymns and old stuff. We even have songs that our worship team made themselves. They sing this. So Dave arranges the music on this show, the opening and closing credits. That's him. He put that together. So we have a lot of talent, but more than talent. We have people that have a heart and a love for God. And that's what makes the worship team powerful and great. And I want to encourage you, join us on a Sunday, 10:30 a.m. MCB Church right here in Carmel, New York, 76 Glenida Avenue. Wednesdays, we have a Bible study. We do music before the Bible study, 7 p.m. at Simpson Hall in the church. Music moves the soul. Music touches the heart. And when it's God, it makes a big difference. Now, Dave, you said something before I want to touch on. You said it was different when you started playing for the church, but there was an extra oomph, and you believe that was the Holy Spirit. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell us a little bit about
Okay, well, going back to even when I was in the band, I would always be attracted to what I would call church changes. I'm more of a keyboard orientated guy, even though we always have great guitar players, phenomenal guitar players in our group. I was always Larry McGowan, who comes to our church all the time. Me and Larry got along. There's something about organ changes, and it's the way the music is put together. I started to hear, as I came every Sunday, I started to hear more and more and more of the kind of music I had always put into my group. The old hymns, like, How Great Thou Art, and I can name 50 of them. They're really so powerful, and I don't, not to get on the music, but they don't write them like that anymore. They really don't. And the more I started hearing our repertoire, I started to like it more and more and more. I started to develop a hunger for it. I would stay up all night long instead of listening to the groups I used to, exploring, new worship songs. And some of them just like regular music.
Sure.
Some of them you don't like, but some of them really slam, your soul and spirit. You talk about believing in things unseen. And having the faith.
That's faith.
I just like to say to people that music is unseen.
That's
and
right. That's right.
There are so many things in your life that you have faith that your Wi-Fi is going to come on. Well, most of the time, and that's unseen. You have faith that when you turn your radio on, the waves are going to get there. There's ultraviolet.
That's right. That's right.
There's so many waves.
That's right.
And I believe all these frequencies that create music were all created by God.
That's right.
So all of the things that, that's why I began to have faith in the things unseen, because most of what I'm doing, the music that comes out of the speakers, is unseen. Amen. So I certainly have faith in that.
Let's talk a little bit about when we pick songs, because I think that, we're kind of in sync now.
Yes.
When we first did it, we were kind of all over the place a little bit, but as we work together as a team and we go over each week the songs, you said something that's extremely important, the words.
Yeah.
The melodies are great.
Yeah.
The music is great. We like that. But the words, when the words really touch the soul, when they're scriptural, when they're powerful, when they tell a story, that's really what moves a heart. Let's talk about that a little bit. When you go over the music, how do you pick it? Tell the people how you do that.
Well, depending on what your message is, you'll say this week I'm going to do something on healing.
Right.
And we have the worship team is extremely good, and we have years and years worth of material songs. So I go through and try to complement what your lyrics are, and then you tell me at the end. I may do an altar. So we always have a song sort of in the wings. If you're going to do, if you feel the Spirit come down,
right,
we'll do something at the end. But just the first song I sang, it's just basically, that song is beautiful because you came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high. It's all right there.
Amen. Jesus'
story is right there in a chorus.
Amen.
And a lot of the other songs are much more, intense, or, a lot of them are very sad, because what happened to Jesus was, at the end there, what happened to Jesus was tragic, and he died for all of us and suffered in agony there. So a lot of the songs, some are praise,
right,
some are worship. You and I kind of lead toward the worship.
Right, right.
But there's nothing wrong with a good praise song. I love gospel music. I love the black gospel music.
Yeah, we do, like I said, a whole bunch of different variety in the music. And I think that's really what makes us authentic. I use these words, we're not cookie cutter. In other words, I believe that our worship is a little different than in most churches, because we do use a lot of different genres. We do go old school, some new stuff, creative stuff that
Yeah.
Jimmy wrote several songs. So we have some songs in there that are right from our team, which is awesome.
Well, one of the things between you and me is we came from a little different school. Whereas, like, you like the K-Love stuff, and I wasn't really that familiar with it.
Right.
You gave me a bunch of songs that I found were really good.
Right.
And on the other hand, some of my old school
I
stuff
started to love.
used to because
Absolutely.
what I'll do is I have a studio at home, and I do all of our backing music for whatever music. Like, if we need strings, I like having the extra stuff there.
Right.
So I'll take an old hymn and make it more modern so that it's got a little bit funk to it. It's got a little bit of something. Because what you really want to do is reach the congregation. Our
Right.
thing here is not about... The one thing about the worship team is that we're really selfless up there.
True.
Our mission in there is to try to bring the Spirit down and have the congregation feel what we're doing and leave there with something from the music, which is a little bit different than a concert.
You're right.
In Madison Square Garden. I mean, unless it's Hillsong or something like that.
And I got to tell you, I've noticed, and I'm sure you do, but you look out, you can see how many more people, our church is growing, we're getting a lot of new people, and how many more people are worshiping.
Yeah, they're singing
They're
along.
lifting their hands up, they're praising God, they're singing along. So we're seeing the Spirit move through the music, which is a beautiful thing. And again, the music and the preaching, I believe, go hand in hand. The music prepares the people's hearts to receive the message and the word. And even after the message and the word is preached, when there's altar time or an altar call, the music ushers people in. It brings them in that place of worship. So Dave, as we wrap up today, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to share whatever you want to share, just to encourage those who are watching today about music, our worship team, whatever you want to say.
Okay. Well, our worship team, I'd like to talk about the worship team if I could, because it's not just me. And it's not just Karen. It's a Debbie DeGata has been in the church for 30. She's our soprano. We are really blessed, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the vocals we have, Debbie as a soprano, Karen is kind of the alto. We have Wanda Law, who's an amazing singer. We have Jimmy Babu on guitar, who's been a professional musician all his life.
Now.
I have too. We have Joe Izzo.
Right.
And it's almost like we have a bunch of professionals that came together, and we're all Christian, and we come in, I give them the music, I bring it, I prepare it, everybody puts 110% in, and every Sunday it just comes out.
Awesome, awesome. We're going to wrap up with a song. We're going to end this program with another song by Dave and Karen. God bless you. Put God first in your life. He really does care about you and love you. God bless you.
Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. Hallelujah. Lord, I lift your name on high. Lord, I love to sing your praises. I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so glad you came to save us. You came from heaven to earth to show the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay, from the grave to the sky. Lord, I lift your name on high. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name on high. You came from heaven to earth to show us the way, from the earth to the cross, my debt to pay. From the cross to the grave, from the grave to the sky, Lord, I lift your name high. Lord, I lift your name.